What is up, Sim community and everybody out there? Episode number 2 of what I think we're calling this thing, Sim Sports Real Talk. So you guys voted for the name, and, looks like we got a pretty good turnout. But before we get started, hey, Gedden, what do you think about that new name? You like it?
So first, before we get into that, YouTube, what it is? It's your boy Gedden, your boy Javo. We getting in this. Let's go. Our second take. Let's be real. So yeah, I like Sim Sports Real Talk. We're gonna be talking about Sim Sports. We're gonna keep it as real as possible, being as detailed as possible. And yeah, I like the name. The community, our fans, our Twitter fans, they picked it out. I hope to do more social experiments like that, social events like that, getting the community or people more involved into our channel and our show. So let's get it. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's get it. So yeah, what up? It's your boy King Javo as well. So we're back, and yeah, so we are going to be doing this show. I mean, this is not just a one-time thing for us. We're excited about tonight's show. We have a number of topics to go through, and we were going to try to get a featured guest on tonight, but unfortunately we just have too much content to go over tonight, and we really wanted to have a show where we could, focus on sharing our thoughts. And then I think starting next week, we'll start to bring on featured guests, because we actually had some people that actually wanted to be on our show, believe it or not. So thanks to all of you guys who reached out to us. Anybody else out there that wants to come on the show, you're more than welcome. We keep it real here. And if you want to jump on and share your thoughts, then, you're more than welcome, whoever's out there. So we can start off. Let's start off with one topic that I think is important. And
Yes, sir.
we all know what that is, okay? It's the Buffalo Bills. Okay, so let's talk about my team real quick. So Buffalo Bills,
Yes,
we just got through playing the Bucks, and anybody who watches this channel, if you happen to be a Bills fan, which I know it's rare, but we have some diehard fans out there. We have to be. If not, then you must be a lunatic. We're probably lunatics anyways, though. But anyways, we played the Bucks this past weekend, and man, that game, we had that game in our hands. We had, I think, 3 field goals that we missed. We should have been up by like 6 or 9 points, somewhere around there, that we just gave away points. And man, it came down to the wire. They got a touchdown. They threw a pass to Mike Evans. Winston threw a pass with like 2 or 3 minutes left. They were up by 7 points. And I don't know how the hell we did it, man. We picked up this guy named, what's his name? Not Carpenter. Some guy from Chicago. I'm going to have to find his name because he played great, man. Carpenter or something. He played phenomenal. Number 10, wide receiver. He had like 6 or 5 phenomenal catches that he made for us. And, our team, we're struggling to find our identity on offense. We have Tyrod Taylor. He broke away for a few big plays. But man, we somehow drove the ball back, and we scored a touchdown, tied it up, 27-27, I think it was. And then they got the ball back with like a minute or so left, and they fumbled the ball. We made a huge defensive play. They fumbled the ball. We got it back. We scored a field goal. Boom, bam. Now we're 4-2, tie with the big old Patriots. And finally, we look like we have a decent team. So needless to say, I'm happy for now. For now, it's early, but I'm happy to see that we're actually getting better under our new coach and our new staff. So that's my report on the Bills.
You guys play the Patriots next, right?
You know what? I don't even know who we play. I didn't even check it yet. But we're due for the Patriots. We play them twice, and we haven't played them yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're playing them.
Right. Yeah, I think you guys are playing the Patriots next. I'm not too sure. Hey, good luck. I hope y'all beat that Patriot ass. They've been looking real suspect this year. Their defense. So we'll see what happens. I mean, their best game played, it was against the Falcons last week. They look like the old school Patriots, or the Patriots of last year or the year before that. So we'll see what the Bills do. I think in your division, I think that's your best test, is how well you do against that one particular team. So we'll see how the Bills do. hey, I'm a Giants fan. We both bleed blue. So, that's my team. Right now, we are having probably one of the worst seasons we've had in I don't know how long. Forget about injuries, just bad play, bad coaching. Then you throw in the injury bug. We don't have not one starting wide receiver going out there, yet our offense is getting better. Why? Because McAdoo, he was running the offensive game plans and calling the shots, even though he's the head coach, if you don't know. They took away that responsibility from him and gave it to another offensive coordinator, and all of a sudden we started doing better with an injury-depleted offense. Our rookie tight end Ingram, oh boy, he's as fast as a fast wide receiver, but he's a tight end if you don't know that as well, and he has pretty good hands. So we were using him pretty good. Our run game was kind of okay. We if you don't know, again, the Giants played against the Seahawks, and it was an interesting game until the first quarter. So it was a good defensive game, but then it was a wrap after, like, I guess the second quarter. Around the middle of the second quarter, that's when they started to pull away. Third quarter, it was a wrap. And fourth quarter, it started to get a little embarrassing. So I'm going to keep it real short and sweet on the Giants. We suck, and I'm going to keep it like that. I'm still a Giants fan, but yeah, we're no good right now. Our offensive line, even though it was shuffled, they're playing much better. I still say you got to get rid of certain players on that offensive line. But yeah, no football team could be really good with a bad offensive line. And the Giants have had a bad offensive line for the last 3 or 4 years. And I don't understand why Jerry Reed, who is the GM, do something about that, or even the owner, the Mara family. Why don't you guys put some money in the offensive line? I don't know. Eli is going to retire an injured man if they don't get an offensive line. I mean, they're doing better now, but we could have done a lot better in the offseason instead of spending money on our wide receivers. I mean, we have Shepard and we have Odell Beckham. Those two, that's enough. You don't need Brandon Marshall, and you didn't need to add anybody to the defense. I think they added a couple pieces, backup pieces to the defense. So, yeah, let's get into that first topic.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, though, what's your guys' record? I missed that.
Sure.
What is it?
We are 1-5.
1-5. Okay.
You being funny with me?
No. I didn't hear.
Yeah, we're at 1-5.
Hey, listen, man. I'm a Bills fan.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, we're 1-5. We suck.
I have all the right in the world to make fun of anybody if I was going to, because my team has been trash for so many years. And by the way, you guys beat us on our first Super Bowl, so it's all good. It's all good. Real quick though, I want to make sure that I mention that Deontay Thompson, number 10, came from the Baltimore. Actually, it came from Chicago. That's the receiver that I was talking about. And he had 4 receptions for 107 yards, 44 long. He had a great game for us, and we need – because Zay Jones isn't doing anything on our team. I mean, he's still a rookie. He's still young, but that's one of our top picks, and that guy's not doing much for us this year. So yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, let's dive into those topics. We got some people on chatting. So definitely looking at the chat tonight.
What's up to the fans out there?
Yep.
I was saying what's up to the fans out there.
Yeah. What's up, fans? I mean, we got a few people on. I don't know how many, but we see you guys. I know last time we had some technical difficulties, so we're watching you this time. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the topics. We have quite a few things to talk about tonight. I guess we can start off with Madden. There are a few things that have been coming through. There's always news about Madden, whether the game you're just not happy with where we are, or you feel like it's improving, or something with the company where the company is doing some shady things, or they're just not treating their employees well. I mean, there's always some news happening with EA, Madden, and the like. So tonight, the first topic we're going to get to is, what do you guys think the worst and most addicting thing is about Madden? And this is Gedden's topic, so I'll let him drive this one. And I'm sure I haven't even begun to do any homework on it, but damn well know that I have a crap ton of garbage to talk about Madden. So if we want to talk about the worst thing, I'm here for you. So kick it off, Gedden.
So when I put this topic together, I thought of something that a lot of people don't exactly get into. It was kind of like a joint thing. I understand I was asking two things at once, but it's almost like a joint answer. So the best, worst thing or addicting thing about Madden, you might be surprised, but it's the competitiveness of the game itself. Now let me break that down. You play some randomly one-on-one football, either online or face-to-face. There's a built-in feature in Madden that catches by 21 points, and they have some kind of skill. There's code in the game to make your players play worse so that their players can play better and it'd be a more competitive game. At one point, Madden had it was a very low-scoring game if you were something straight up. That was the start of that. Now, the reason why I know this to be fact is, if you don't remember, look up competitive commercial for Madden. I think it was made Madden 12. I remember the commercial. They had a little girl. She's no older than 11, 12.
Hey, Gedden, you're breaking up a little bit, man. Can you hear me?
The whole area, I hear you. So I'll start that at midway.
All right.
So the commercial that I saw back in 2011, maybe 2010, you had a adolescent girl playing against a grown man. The stick on that commercial was to keep it competitive. No matter who you are, you're going to be able to play against someone who should know much better or much more than football than you. The thing about Madden is when you play online, when you play with your friends, it's always competitive. You guys always have a hit rivalry. It's rarely somebody who gets blown out if they know the game against somebody who also knows the game or knows the game way more than the other person, unless they're, of course, nano blitzing and cheesing and all this type of stuff. That's when you break their system. But to me, the worst, most addicting thing is the competitive nature of the game, either be it fabricated or it be a natural thing. And then with that, then you have your MUT cards, and that feeds into the competitive nature. But it's artificial competitive element within that, and that makes it so, oh, I have to play this because I have to beat my boys playing Madden this year. I gotta play with my new team to see how much they're better off than they were last year. It's a competitive element to Madden that a lot of people may not talk about, and that's the best and worst thing about Madden.
All right. Well, you were kind of breaking up a little bit in between. I was trying to catch everything you said, and then the part that I missed was I heard the competitiveness part in terms of, that's a good thing, right? I mean, we want a game to actually show, to give us competition and make people want to jump on and beat their friends. And
Right.
like I remember when I was a little bit younger, I used to have my best friend, man. He and I would get Madden every year. We'd go midnight prior to, the night before the release, midnight release. And we would always just start. I was the Bills and he was the Dolphins. We grew up together, and he and I would always be ready to go. We wanted to see what our teams were ranked because I always had a disadvantage, at least the last half of our, play time together. And it was always like, man, like we were always trying to hedge one, up on each other. And then going online, you have the crowd. So, I mean, Madden, the one thing I can say about Madden in terms of like you said, one of the good things that I think and the most addicting thing is that you have a community, a huge community that you even have the tournament where you can win, I don't know, 100,000 or whatever the amount is, $1 million. I'm not sure what it is. But you have the Madden tournament. You have guys that do this professionally with the esports. And I know that's where they're trying to head to. But even like with this kind of a community and this many users inside of it, there's so much competition, like you're saying, and there's sites that show you how to, you know, how to exploit certain plays or take advantage of certain, you know, defenses and offenses, and it's like you have a lot of the people that want a quality football game in that game. But the other part of it, I missed that part that you said about kind of like the worst thing about it as well. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
I muted myself. There we go.
Oh,
so that there would be no background sound. There we go. Okay. So
good.
what I would say is the competitiveness, although that's a great thing and one of the best things about Madden, it captivates so many people. It's also the worst thing because they use that within MUT and the whole game to sell the game, and it's also a fabrication. There's code within the game to make it competitive instead of just having a game play straight up. There are times where they'll make your player fumble, your quarterback will throw a bad interception, or you'll throw the ball right into the defense, and the defense won't pick up the ball. Why? Because there's a competitive element to the coding that won't allow a user to destroy another user. I remember when I was playing online back in 07 or so. You had people who were nasty at online Madden, and they would destroy, beat people by 40, 50, 60 points. And I'm pretty sure it still does happen. But I mean, playing the game straight up. Now, I think with that competitive element, they're using that for, say, MUT and other elements of the game. So to me, I think that's the best and worst element of Madden. That what makes it very, very addicting. You have that competitive edge that most people have, and then they give you a fabrication on top of it.
Right, right. What do you guys think in the comments? Let us know what you think the worst and most addicting thing is about Madden. I'm sure everybody has comments. You know, it has some good sides to it when it comes to competition, but like Gedden was saying about the code, because they're trying to balance things out, like back in the day when you used to go, and I'm not even sure if you can still do it, but when you used to go in the team selection screen and you used to be able to pick like balanced teams or like equal teams, and you know, it makes you feel like they're trying to fabricate and inject you know, code that makes the game behave a certain way or drop a pass or catch a pass, like you were saying. So I know that they're trying to do that to make it more entertaining, you know, for people to watch and people to play and people to enjoy. So for sure, that's a good point. So yeah, so anything else you want to talk about on that topic, or do you want to keep going?
No, I'm good with it.
All right,
we go on to the next topic.
Cool. Let's see, what's the next topic? Next topic is, so this is one that I brought up. It's one that has to do with the indie scene, especially for football games, right? So, you know, how does that look? Because we'll get into this now, I guess. There was a tweet that I had put out. Gedden found this video about EA letting go of
Visceral.
What's it called?
Visceral Games.
Viscera Games. Okay. And I guess this was a studio that was making some game. I'm not even sure.
Mass Effect.
Oh, okay. Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to chop it all up. I know I didn't do my homework.
Yeah, go ahead. No, it's all good.
But if you want to kick it off, you can kick it off. But I watched the video on it, and there was a tweet that I had put out today, and they were talking to an ex-EA developer or Viscera, whatever developer that worked with EA. And this guy was talking about how EA and many other companies, which makes sense, right? They're a business. They're a profit organization trying to make money. And all they're concerned about, their number one priority is to figure out how much money they can suck out of our pockets. And, you know, it's one thing to say that you want to be profitable, right? I mean, any business wants to turn a profit. I mean, that's the point of going into business if you're a profit organization. But at the same time, there has to be a line that needs to be drawn where you don't take advantage of your consumers, especially when you have consumers that are underage, you know, and their parents are getting roped into, like my son, every day he twists my arm and he gets something out of me because that's all they want to do. They find ways to, you know, to pull at and claw at you for anything that they can basically get, depending on your kid, unless I just have a crazy kid. But bottom line is that they're going to be what's the word? They're going to be phased or whatever by those type of tactics. And when you're a company like EA and you're going after these kids that want to buy MUT cards, or they want to buy these cards online and unlock all these different, you know, upgrades or whatever, and skin colors and costumes and whatever the hell you can get, weapons, badges, that stuff starts to cost money. And in that video that Gedden found, you know, one of the things that he says, and I'll pull the quote up here, and I tweeted it today, was that he says that the problem is that they've scaled up their budgets to $100 million plus, $100 million plus. And this is EA talking. And we haven't actually made a space for good linear single player games that are under that. So what they're talking about here is that they have a huge, gigantic budget, and that budget is going 100% into multiplayer games where they can start to create DLC, right? And these badges, MUT cards, whatever you want to call it, where they can begin to get that, you know, added upsell income. And they have people that have, I think one of the quotes says that they had a guy or some gamer that spent $15,000 on Mass Effect cards or Destiny cards or whatever it was. And that's just ridiculous. I mean, how the hell are you going to spend $15,000 on a game that you spend $60 on? You know, and that just goes to show, going back to the competitiveness and people getting crazy. And the last part of this tweet here was that the reason why EA and those big publishers in general only care about the highest return on investment, that's all they care about, getting the highest return, getting as much money out of your pocket as possible. And they don't actually care about what the players want. They care about what the players will pay for. Now think about that. They don't actually care what the players want. They don't care what we want. Somebody can argue and say that what we want is a reflection of how much money we pay. But that's not necessarily true when you have people that are vulnerable and that are addicted to a game, and they sit there and spend money hand over fist, and they don't really have a way to control themselves. And mind you, some of those people are being peer pressured or whatever it might be, and they end up, you know, they're not also buying this because the game is good. They're just buying it because it's right there in front of them and they can't, you know, find a way to control themselves. So what happens is, and I'm almost done. So Gedden, you'll have plenty of time to give your response. But sure, what's happening is that EA and other big publishers have come out and they found a way, a cash cow, right, where they can sit there and they can just throw it out there and people will just suck it dry. But what's happening is that because that is happening with them, everybody paying all that money, EA is now focusing all their attention on not what they should be, which is making a quality game. They're focusing on capitalizing on that revenue stream and trying to make as much money as possible. So you have one side, the consumer, that's so addicted and can't stop buying. And because of that, now EA has shifted and big publishers have shifted their focus to be, let's capitalize on this addiction that people have. And now you have a totally wrong target where it should be that they're making the game for gamers who want a quality game. They're making a single player game mode for people like me. I don't play multiplayer anymore. I don't have the time. I jump on, I play my franchise, I play it at my pace, on my time, and I don't have 20 friends that want to play. So you know what? I just play on my own. I got a busy life and I want to leave. So I want the single player game. And in Madden, I want the franchise, you know, to be pumped up in the single player, you know, experience. And we can talk about Long Shot because they did do some work in there, but I'll let you. I said a lot there. I probably stole a lot of thunder there.
Yeah.
But that was my take on it, and it's a very interesting podcast. I'll probably put it in the description when the video gets saved off in the archive for you guys to watch that podcast, because that was a great find by Gedden. And I'd like to hear your thoughts, man.
Yeah, I thought, well, first of all, I got to say you brought up really, really great points. I thought that was really good. My whole take on that was we all knew what EA was doing. This only confirms what EA is doing. This guy, the developer's name is Manveer, and he's an indie developer. Of course, since he's a developer, he worked on a plethora of different games. So he basically told us exactly what we thought EA was doing. We saw with their shareholder meeting maybe last year or the year before that EA really just wants to focus on MUT instead of anything else. When you brought up the budget, the quote that you tweeted out, that 100 million budget, that's not going to the game so much. That's going to advertisement and all that as well. In my opinion, from what it seems it's so much cheaper to make a multiplayer game than a single player experience. When you make a single player experience, you have to have all types of voice actors, you have to have different scenery, and you have to have a plethora of motion capture animations to bring along the story. Now we're talking about a sports game. Most sports games don't really have that. They're just now starting to do that. NBA 2K was one of the first games to kind of innovate that feature with their MyPlayer and have a full-fledged single player experience. But most games nowadays, you don't necessarily have that if you have a multiplayer component. The multiplayer component is almost destroying the single player experience, because these companies, as pointed out with EA, they're mostly putting their money towards the multiplayer. And then with that multiplayer is a lot of advertisement, which soaks up most of the budget. But then you have all these microtransactions, as you pointed out. And to me, honestly, it's really destroying the gaming industry. Pretty soon, games are going to be very shallow, which they are now, even more so. But it's just going to be all microtransaction, everything, no real single player experience, and a whole lot of multiplayer, a lot of shallow multiplayer at that. They'll probably disguise it very well, but I'm not going to be a fan. I'm already not a fan of that type of gameplay anyway. You can't catch me playing a game like Destiny. You can't catch me playing a game like Call of Duty anymore. I still like Battlefield because the gameplay is very, very, very deep. But this just goes to show, you know, this is what EA is doing. And it's not just EA. It's a lot of other companies that are doing these practices as well. And that's why they're getting called out in it. Even if it is a single player game, when they add in all these microtransactions, the fans really don't like that unless the gameplay itself is really, really good. But yeah, that's kind of like my take on it. I thought it was rather refreshing for somebody to actually come out and talk about how a company works. And another thing about EA, not to ramble on too much.
No, you're good.
So they killed Visceral Games. I forgot the company who created, I think it was Visceral, who created the Burnout series. I love that game, Burnout. Burnout was so good in the early 2000s. I love that game. They killed that game. And I think it was a couple of Dead Space. They killed Dead Space. I think that was all Visceral Games. Visceral Games was a really good developer. And now EA just chopped them off like as if they were nothing. And it was really EA's publishing that killed Visceral Games to begin with.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it now. It was games like Battlefield Hardline and Dead Space. They were building a Star Wars game that I saw Lex put in the comments that they were just, you know.
What up, Lex?
Yeah, what's up, Lex? That they started to build that Star Wars game. So they shut down a pretty important division, you know, and or studio or whatever you want to call these. This they call it Visceral Games. I don't know if this is just what do you call it? Not a child subsidiary or whatever of EA.
Yeah. Probably partner. They probably bought that company because they made good games. That's what EA does. EA rarely makes games from the ground up, their own studio. They always buy another studio because the game is popular, and then they try to put their money-hungry capitalist fingers all over it, and it destroys the game. They don't care because the people that they hired or the people that worked with, say, Visceral Games, they just lay you off. They don't care about that. You know, that's why it really pisses me off when people side with EA. EA don't help anyone. They, if anything, they lay people off. So hopefully all those people find a good job or stay in the gaming industry.
Yeah, I can tell you that from my experience working at EA, and I worked there for...
Oh, you worked at EA.
I mean, I worked there for under a year, and I was just a QA, you know, guy. So I was a bottom feeder there, but I was able to see the inside ropes of what happens at EA Tiburon, and you're right on the money, man. I mean, I remember I was sitting there for... Here, let me give you an example. So there was a time where, so what they do, as you know, they have titles, right? Especially the yearly titles that they put out, like the Maddens and the NBA Live and the PGA, Tiger Woods games back then. They used to have, you know, the college game, NFL Street. This was way back in like 04, okay? And back then, I remember vividly that I was sitting there with my buddies. We were all testing games out. And what you would do is you would sit there and you would work, and all of a sudden you'd see some big wig walking behind you and walking across the row of employees, and then they would just tap someone on the shoulder, and that person got up, they went to a back room, and then they just disappeared. You never saw them again. And, you know, that was like the first taste I ever got of one of the downsides to working in, you know, the gaming industry is that it's very fierce. It's very cutthroat. They burn you out. They bring people, they suck people in because everybody wants to play games for a living, right? Everybody wants to make games for a living. And what happens is they take advantage of these people that are vulnerable, you know, that really want to pursue their dream, and then they squeeze them dry. They get every single bit of energy and blood out of these people, and then they just spit them right out. And I mean, I'll tell you that it's not just EA and it's not just that one type of corporation. I mean, I've worked at corporations that, you know, that have done the same thing, and any top Fortune 500 company out there, a lot of those companies, because they're so massive and their legal departments are so strong, and they can basically hire and fire at will, especially where I live in my state, that happens. That's just common practice. I mean, they walk in, they say, "Hey, you're fired." And the next day people are like, "What happened to John? You know, where's Johnny?" "Oh, nobody knows. He's sick." 2 weeks later, they don't even put out an official announcement sometimes to tell you that these people are gone. So it's not just EA or the gaming, you know, industry, but I can tell you that when I was working there, I remember that. And then one day they grabbed me and I'm like, okay, it's my turn to go. And I recall walking back there, and I even grabbed my backpack. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. And they told me that they're keeping me. And I was like, why the hell are they keeping me? I don't want to be like, I was a slacker. I did what I wanted to do. And I'm like, they're trying to keep me. And I'm like, something's weird. But then I ended up leaving because the job didn't pay much. Right. But that goes into the topic of, which is what I brought up to begin with. This is kind of two topics in one, guys, which is because the AAA companies are focusing so much of their energy and their budget on multiplayer and, you know, DLC, and trying to get that second or third or fifth or infinite number of revenue after the game was bought. There's a window of opportunity for companies to make single player games. You know, the games that you used to use, like Zelda, like, which we'll talk about later, you know, games where you used to just walk in and turn on the TV, grab your favorite beverage or whatever it might be, and sit back, and you know, play for a few hours and make some progress, you know, and enjoy a quality single player mode, not hinged upon little bells and whistles to get you to bite, you know, and have you just, you know, play the game and all of a sudden be, oh my God, I see something bright, let me go buy it. No, this was quality stuff that would genuinely and authentically bring you in and immerse you into the experience. And that's why I think that the indie scene, which is, you know, which was what I am right now, basically an indie developer, is so popular. And there are people out there like, even though I don't know what they're going to build, Immaculate Gaming, Vision, those guys, and then you got Callie Anderson, and you know, we have people out there that are trying to build a football game for us. And you know, I know for a fact that I would believe that those guys aren't focusing on DLC and trying to get people to buy online. They're trying to get people to enjoy a quality game, because those people and myself, we're all sick and tired of having a game that's not, you know, that's not playing as we'd like. So I think that because the AAA companies are focusing so much of their attention on multiplayer, that it opens up a huge opportunity for other studios, whether you be indie or AAA or whomever, to take advantage of that and really, you know, make a quality single player game that's for you, the consumer, not for this guy on the street that's trying to pull money from his mom, for you to be able to enjoy an experience with your friends or with yourself or whoever, and just enjoy it, you know? And that's where I think that that's the upside to this whole thing.
Yes, sir. Again, great points. I believe the indie scene is where the passion comes back into gaming. Yeah, you have some companies out there that are really good at what they do, and you can see their passion as well. But I really believe that the indie scene is where you're going to have the real passion come back into the industry. And it'll be funny if these publishers don't try to capitalize on that as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they make some pseudo whatever company that maybe looks like an independent company, but kind of push it as a indie company. Oh, this is an indie company. We're passionate about our game. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I just like to throw that out there. But yeah, I think the real passion is going to come from the indie devs. The only thing is the technology hasn't caught up all the way yet. And what I mean by that is, if an indie company chose to make a game from scratch, like we see with these football games that we all should support, they're going to run into trouble because they're expecting the game to look, play, and move a certain way. When I say they, I mean us as consumers. Obviously, the devs, they know the real because they're working on the game. They know the coding, as you do, Javo. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears go into the game. Then you're only working on one piece. You have to work on puzzles to make the game actually look good or play good. So with all that being said, the technology hasn't caught up yet where an indie developer could take, say, something like an Unreal Engine. That's the closest thing that we have so far. An Unreal Engine, and then make a complete 100% game that looks like a AAA game instead of just an indie game. But they're putting their same passion into their indie game, but it's playing like a AAA game. Some indie games have successfully done that. Off the top of my head, I got to think of Cuphead. That was just recent release. That game looks phenomenal, yet that's an indie game. I wouldn't have thought that was an indie game. It looks phenomenal. A lot of work went into that, and a lot of hard-ass work is going to go if you're trying to beat that game. Another game to think of is, I don't know, Snake Pass. If you ever play Snake Pass, it's an indie game, but it's made from Unreal, but it looks really, really good. But it's an indie game. It's a puzzle-ish game, kind of made for the family, but the game itself is very clever. It's cute. It looks good. It doesn't look so much like an indie game. We're just going to have to wait for technology to really catch up to indie developers. Indie developers are kind of ahead of their time right now because a lot of these games have no passion. They just have a lot of money-hungry microtransactions and all that type of stuff that I do not like. So, yeah, I think the indie scene is where it's going to be.
Yeah, those are good points. I mean, the indie scene is something that it's booming as far as
Yeah.
the number of companies out there and people that are trying to become indie developers. So there's a lot of competition, and there are a lot of games that aren't that good, but then there's some percentage of the games that are like, wow, where'd these games come from? And there's a game called Owl Boy that it was in the making for like, I don't know, 7 years or some crazy number. And the game that you mentioned, Cuphead, with that artistic style that no one's really ever done. It's like that old school Popeye cartoon style. And that's what you get with indie. You get companies that are willing to take an artistic risk or creative risk that AAA companies wouldn't do. And you're also finding indie companies that are making games that they want to play, right? So that's where you get into the part that we were just discussing about. It's not all about the money with those guys. You know, they're not throwing millions of dollars at things. They're trying to make a game that they want to play, that their community wants to play, and hopefully that game, you know, grows legs and takes off. So we'll keep an eye on the indie scene. I mean, I'm part of it, and you know, I'm obviously brand new to it, and I'm trying to make the game that I'm working on, and I'm excited about it. I have a passion for pixel art, and that's something that I really want to see, you know, in a football title, and we'll see where it goes. But shout outs to all of the indie developers out there, Cal Anderson, the Immaculate Gaming guys, the Danny Jugan with Access Football, the Canadian football game. Shout out to all of you guys for having the courage to take your money and take your energy and focus on trying to build a football game for our community. And I suggest that everybody out there support those guys, because the amount of work, money, and sweat and tears that goes into that stuff is way beyond your $60 or $50 or $20. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of time and money. So, all right. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. We have people in the chat. What's up, Lord Destro? Lex Marston, B Diddy. What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to leave any comments or questions. We'll try to address those as we go through the chat. Gedden your audio and video is on point now, so whatever you did, keep it up. Looking good.
I moved up the block.
Oh, well, that block right there is just making
money.
It's money. It's money, man. I could actually see your face now. So,
all right.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's go to the next topic. This one's one that, you know, I personally haven't spent. I spent about 2 hours or so the first night that I got NBA 2K18, and then I think on a Saturday morning, which I haven't done this in a very long time, I did what I normally do with sports games. I turned it on. I turned on NBA 2K18. I laid back in my couch, and I basically just started a brand new franchise with the Magic. And what typically happens is, for me, it's a matter of figuring out what the sliders should be, you know, how is the game going to play realistically, because God forbid a company make a freaking game. That's a whole nother thing that I can go on later on a different show. But I love sliders. When they first came out, I was like, okay, cool. I can control my difficulty. But it's gotten to a point where I miss the days where it was like, these modes are set, and you're either going to play on all-star mode or simulation mode or sports, you know, whatever, superstar mode, or, you know, last week I think I said I play on all-star mode, but I play on superstar mode in NBA 2K18. But that game, it was crushing me, and it was crushing me on stupid things that made no sense. So I'm just kind of sharing with you what I've done so far with NBA 2K, and all I've done really is spend a good 5 hours that Saturday morning working on my franchise mode. I played like 3 or 4 games, but every game I was sitting there trying to tweak the settings to figure out how to play the game. So I don't have a lot of background on the new patch. I don't think I've played it since the new patch came out. But the next topic is to talk about the patches for NBA 2K and what they mean to MyPark. And I'll let Gedden, sorry, man. I'll let you, you see NBA 2K brings Gideon in my brain. Um, he's all about NBA 2K, man.
The ball is intangible. The ball is intangible.
Dude, he must be on a plane to 2K right now because he hates that.
Hey, shit. He should be on a plane to 2K. If 2K was smart, they fly him out there. But they know what they're doing. NBA 2K knows what they're doing. It goes back to the topic of keeping the game competitive. They don't want everybody to be able to steal the ball easy. That's why this year you can't really steal the ball. It's very hard to steal the ball because they want the casuals to come in, start dribbling wherever the heck way they want, and shoot a three in somebody's face and easily make the shot. So onto these patches. I'm not going to talk about the patch notes, but what I want to talk about are the patches in general, especially to MyPark. Yeah, the patches don't do anything unless they're nerfing archetypes. If they're nerfing your archetype, that's the only time when the patches mean anything. But other than that, what I mean, they don't do anything. The biggest cheese in NBA 2K is the left, right cheese. And that's been going on for the last 3 or 4 years, maybe even more. And the pick and roll gameplay. And then once you combine the pick and roll or just pick left, right cheese with a sharpshooter, it's damn near unstoppable. There's no way if on 3-on-3, if somebody, you have a sharpshooter who shouldn't be able to dribble too well, and you have a big setting a pick or even a shooting guard, it doesn't matter. The picks in that game, you could be a big guy, you could be a medium guy, you could be a small guy. You're going to set a good pick for somebody, and that's inaccurate. That's, that's not sim. So yeah, all these patches that they bring out, they never address those issues, yet they still say, yeah, we address those issues. I remember last year, the left, right cheese will no longer happen. I remember Mike Wang, who's one of the head developers of NBA 2K. He said, oh yeah, left, right will never happen again. It's over. As soon as the patch comes out, several patches pass, and it's still in the game. This year, it's still in the game. The pick and the suction picking. When a big man sets a pick, you get sucked into the pick. These are the same problems that we complain about Madden, right? But it's in NBA 2K, a much better and deeper game. Yes, we love NBA. Well, I love NBA 2K still, but at the same time, they got to clean up their game. Again, if Apex was here, he'd be like, none of that matters. The ball is intangible. Yes, he's right. But at the same token, the movement speed is all messed up. The lateral defensive speed is all screwy. So the patches don't mean anything unless they're saying they're going to nerf a certain archetype. If they start nerfing any archetype, that's when it either is too nerfed or not nerfed enough.
What are you saying when you say archetype? What's that?
Okay, so when you create your My Player, you could select an archetype. Last year, you was only allowed to select one archetype, right? You could be a rebounder. You could be a sharpshooter.
Okay.
You could be a ball handler, which is a playmaker. This year, they made it much deeper. You could select 2 archetypes, your primary, then your sub archetype. So the guy that I made, a center, who is a slasher or finisher, which those guys could dunk the ball really well, and they tend to be a little faster. And his secondary was rebounder. So I'm setting picks, and my dude is, my teammates are shooting all these threes, and they're not even a 3-point specialist, right? So, and that's in the MyPark. That's the 3-on-3 MyPark. So it's a lot of real issues that it just seems like 2K don't understand how to either patch their game, or they're sending out patches and talking about it just as fluff, just to get people to stop complaining, go back to the game and start playing. By the way, I still can't play NBA 2K online because the damn server's all messed up. Every time I'll play 5 minutes of a damn game and I get the error code. It'll start counting me down. It'll lag me out of the game. And my internet is sweet. If I show you a picture of my download speed, you'll be like, damn, your internet is pretty good. I'm almost hitting 200 download. Almost 50 upload. I know that's a little weird, but that's optimal online cable for you. But yeah, I have great internet. I have pretty good internet. Yet NBA 2K, I can't play it online. It pisses me off. It stopped. That was one of the reasons why I stopped playing the game. And another reason is maybe we get into our last subject of why I stopped playing NBA 2K. But yeah, I'll talk about that then. But yeah, the patches don't mean much unless they're trying to nerf your archetype.
All right.
And MyPark.
Something crazy just came on my hold on a second.
Yeah. I think that was Gideon.
Gideon's actually on the chat right now, so I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, what up, Gideon? My dude.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. So this stupid man, I have the patch notes up.
Okay.
I don't want okay. Hold on a second. Let me turn all this off. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, guys. I had the patch notes up. I wanted to see what the patch notes were doing, but then I had like 5 videos just jump right into my ear. But I caught everything you said, man. You had a lot of good points because, you know, that's one thing I want to make sure that you guys out there know about Gedden and I is that we don't. I'm going to say Gideon a lot of times, by the way, when I say your name. I probably just said it right before.
Wait, let me cut you off right quick. Do you know how many people thought I was Gideon Prime? Do you know how? Yo, when I was making my videos, I remember on my YouTube, I remember somebody made a comment, man, I love your videos, your truth chaser videos, man. Use the truth. I like it. Thank you, but that's not me. That's my boy Gideon Prime. And you know where I get my name Gedden is I've had the first Xbox, the black Xbox, and ever since then I kept Gedden. Right. If you don't know anything about me, I make a little bit of beats, right? I make music. And before doing that, I used to rap, right? Okay. I used to spit some verses, you know, I was all right, you know, I ain't gonna toot my own horn, but my rap name back then was Gedden, right? So I just stuck with it, made a YouTube personality about it and put it to my gaming, and everything has been kind of integrated, you know? So it's just through fate that his name is Gideon. My name is Gedden. He's the one who inspired me to make YouTube videos. It's just full circle, small world type of deal.
Oh man, that's funny because, you know, when you just started talking about Gideon, I saw him join the chat here. Right? It was like, yeah, we brought up his name and then he's on the chat. But I think he wants to come on the show. So I don't know how much time we have, but if we have time, we'll try to bring him in. I'm not sure how much time we'll have tonight. But I'll leave it up to Gedden to let me know what he wants to do on that.
I mean, I got maybe like 20 more minutes.
Okay. I don't know where his email went. So if I can find his email, I'll shoot him if you're out there, Gideon, shoot me your email on Twitter and we'll get you on. For some reason I can't find your email, but yeah, going back to 2K, maybe he can give his 2 cents on the ball change.
Oh, I know he can.
I don't know if we have enough time for that. That's going to be probably more than 20 minutes. Let's all be honest around here.
Knowing Gideon, he probably found something else. Found something else that we have not seen yet. You know, the genius of his commentary, man. He's one of a kind, bro.
Oh yeah, he's giving it to me now. But while we're waiting for that, I mean, I haven't been able to play the patch, but you know, that's another thing too. Like games, this is what I don't understand about games. You know, why can't these companies make a game that's been tested thoroughly, that has, even if it has different modes, like you have a simulation mode, like Tiger Woods did that a few years back. You have your hardcore mode for the sim head guys. Then you have your amateur casual mode for guys that are not, and you tailor and you test for those modes. But what happens is you have the games that go through their testing. There's OP somewhere. There's something happening where they have to trail the game back and, you know, tailor it down to somebody else, or some big wig complain to another big wig, or what have you. And then you begin to have patches. So the game starts off like, let's say Madden. You go to EA Play, you go to E3, the game's playing a certain way. Next time you see it, it's playing a different way. The next time you see it, it's playing a different way. And what happens is you end up with a Frankenstein of a game where they don't really put the right QA process and quality control process into making the game. What they do is they have this game that keeps changing, and whenever they change one thing, They may improve that one thing, and then they end up breaking 10 other things because now they didn't either test enough or they didn't realize it was going to have that kind of impact on the game. And then you end up with a game that's all over the place. And it's like, dude, why couldn't you just spend the time to make a quality game? You have a game like Destiny, you know, which I don't play, but plenty of people talk about. And it's a game that I'm sure when it came out, I could be wrong here, so don't shoot me if I'm wrong, but it's a game like Zelda, which we'll talk about. Let's go back to Zelda. Zelda came out, and I guarantee you that game doesn't have patch after patch after patch. I can almost guarantee you that. I don't care how people are playing online and how, you know, multiplayer differs. Make the game the right way, and if you have to patch it with something light. Don't throw a grenade in the entire game. Or like Gedden said, focus on things that are broken, that have been broken and cheese for a long time, and QA the hell out of it. I'd rather wait 1 or 2 cycles for that to get fixed the proper way than you guys constantly throw these little bells and whistles at us and get us to bite and be happy, you know, and just appease us. So that's called Band-Aid fixing.
I'll tell you why they do that. I'll tell you why they make a game that needs all these patches. It's a little business proposition called profit margins. They cut down on testers. They cut down on Q&A. They cut down on research and development. Throw the game out there. Oh, we'll patch it later. We'll patch it later. And this is what you get. This is the product that you get. This is the gaming industry as we know it. And unfortunately, it's not for the better. It's for the worse.
Right. It is for the worse. You know, it's like, but I get it too. I mean, that's the problem. You have a conflict of interest. One side of the fence, these companies want to make money, and I get it. You want to make money. But on the other side of the fence, you have people that also want a quality game, but you also have a third dimension to that, which is everybody wants something different. You got the hardcore group over here. You have the, you know, casuals over here. You have everybody in between over here, and you're trying to appease to each one of these people. But that's why you create a game that has different modes, you know, and you have a group with all the money they're making and all the money they're putting into these games. Make a game for each crowd. Your hardcore. I always believe that if you focus on your hardcore fans, everybody else will follow suit. That's the way I think it should work. Because look at games like MLB The Show. Look at games like NBA 2K. Those games went for the hardcore simulation fans who love the sport, who want to represent the sport inside of a virtual field. That's what they want, or arena or court or whatever. That's what they want. And when they play a game, I'll tell you right now, guys I know out there that play RPG games, I'm not going to single people out, but there are people that I know that are in this gaming world. There are sports guys and there are non-sports guys. And the sports guys typically played sports, watch sports, and love sports. They don't love sports because it looks like Britney Spears or something, you know, casual. They love it because it's hardcore, you know, turf, you know, punch in the face, man-to-man type of game. And they want to see that kind of game, you know, under their control. So I sent an invite to Gideon. Hopefully he gets it. If he jumps on, we'll be sure to get him on the air.
Yes, sir.
So do you want to roll into the last topic here?
All right, yeah. Since we were talking about all their crazy patches and whatnot, there's 2 reasons why I stopped playing NBA 2K so far or right now. One, again, I can't play online. I love my player, and I love MyPark. And I especially like the fact now that you can play MyPark and you can rank up or level up your created character within those modes, those online modes. But what made me stop playing, not only because of the servers didn't work, but I just had a birthday.
Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. It was earlier in the month. And my beautiful girlfriend bought me a Nintendo Switch. She bought me a Nintendo Switch. I bought Zelda Breath of the Wild. And that game is phenomenal. I mean, probably one of the best games that I've played in recent memory or even long-term memory. That game is extremely deep. This episode, we've been talking about multiplayer and the problems with multiplayer, the budgeting and everything. And we're talking about, well, it's market for a single-player game. Zelda Breath of the Wild is that single-player experience that you could literally spend hours playing. I know because I have. Um, Playing that game and still see new environments, new enemies, new strategies. It's if you're a curious type of gamer, this is the game for you. I'm a Nintendo fan, if anyone didn't know, but I'm a Nintendo fan, but I love games. So, I mean, to be honest, I think if you love games, you're going to be a Nintendo fan. Yeah, Breath of the Wild, I can't say enough how great that game is, even though, you know, obviously I'm a sim gamer, but that the system of that game, every weapon that you pick up breaks. So you have to consistently and constantly be looking for different weapons, and you have to strategize how you're going to go into a next battle or how you're going to go about your adventure, going through the single player, all these side quests and all types of stuff. It's a great game. I can't put it down. There you go. That's that bad boy right there. That's another beautiful thing about that game. You'll play it, or that system, if you will, you'll be playing it on your TV. You could pick it up and bring it with you and continue the game. The ease of that is, I think Nintendo really hit it out the ballpark with understanding where the gaming industry is kind of going and where fans is really seriously. We've never had anything like this, even though it's a Tegra processor, and we've had I think it was called the Android Shield, I believe, and it was somewhat like that, but they didn't have, obviously they didn't have the Nintendo Touch. But how powerful that small device is. You're not worried about resolution once you pop that in your TV and you're immersed into the game, and the games look beautiful. Breath of the Wild, in my opinion, looks like one of the more beautiful games that I've ever played, even though it's a cell shaded game. The detail that's in that game. I'll give you one example, and I swear I'll shut up. Through the distance, you're traveling to this area. You could travel to a new area, and you'll see from a distance clouds form, lightning start to accumulate within the clouds, and you can see torrential downpour in the area. That's how big and massive in the draw distance. That's how great that game looks. Imagine now going into that area. If you have any metal weapons on you, you could run the risk of getting struck by lightning. Same goes for the enemies that you're combating with, or what you may come in contact with. The game is very detailed. It's great. I love that game. It's a beautiful game. Great game.
Well, I can tell you that I'm a big fan, huge fan of Nintendo. Nintendo is one of those systems that I think a lot of us grew up playing.
Yeah.
And the one cool thing about Nintendo, I compare Nintendo very closely to Apple, you know, and they always make unique, innovative, creative products that, you know, you look at the Switch, you look at the Switch, and it's a piece of art, man. The way you can take the controllers off, you know, the Joy-Cons or whatever you call them, you can take those off. You could port up your prop up your screen, and you have an HD, I think 1080p or whatever it is in the system, 720, whatever it is when you're playing on the mobile mode. You have a HD definition system right in front of you, and the games, like you're saying, their titled Nintendo games are off the charts. Talking about QA and quality control, they didn't let Zelda out until it started to play perfectly. You know, they didn't do that. Just like games like Blizzard games, like all the Warcraft games, and I'm forgetting the names, but they have a number of different games that they make that when they come out, those games are perfect in a lot of ways, but they spend years and years making them. And somebody might say, oh, well, you know, we only spend a year, have 8 months to do a dev cycle for our sports games. But we all know that they've been doing this year over year, and they can continue to build upon a game and let go of a mode to get this one component tight and working perfectly before they jump on Long Shot or before they jump on MyPark. You know, get one piece at a time built. But we all know why they do it. They do it because they're trying to make extra money. I'm going to try to throw in a video here real quick. Let me see if I can do this. If I screw this up, guys, then you can go ahead and shoot me. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So you guys should probably be able to see that. And as I'm talking, you're going to be able to see the weather changes in Zelda. Now, there's a little bit of lag on this, but we can kind of see where you know, where Gedden was just talking about, look at the shading of the weather, right? Look at the way it just turned into nighttime and how you have the rain falling. And I'll tell you, I got the Zelda game, but I haven't had a lot of time to play it. Wow. I mean, that lightning was off the charts, bro.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that game is beautiful. The landscape of that game, where you go, I swear to God, you'll see different areas all the time. The maps are so big, and then it's not like you're loading up constantly, right? It's not a streaming thing like, say, Grand Theft Auto. What you see is what you get.
Oh my God.
Shit. Oh yeah. Yeah, that game is beautiful, man. That game is beautiful. I'm almost done with it, but I'm loving every minute of it. How can I put it? It's intense. It's relaxing. It fills your thirst of curiosity. It's wonderful. All these things wrapped up into one game. That game probably is like one of the best games ever. Seriously.
I don't know if you guys can all see this on the screen. Hopefully you can, but man, this is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I actually see it.
Oh, okay.
I see it, Havo. Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
I see the chat now.
Yeah. I got it all over the place, but I mean, the things that you can see in here, and I know it's a cell shaded game, like you said, but I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful, even with the cell shading. And, you know, this game is absolutely stunning, man. I mean, the lightning that we just saw. Now, I know we don't have lightning. I mean, you could in sports games, but come on. Why can't we get this kind of weather in the games that we play? I mean, we want dynamic weather. I mean, the game, I'll stop sharing it so I can get back on here. Let me see. The game that I'm making right now, I'm making dynamic weather. And dynamic weather is, you know, obviously it's a different type of game in terms of the 2D versus 3D element. But I mean, the game's going to be able to have different shades of the sun coming out, clouds, you know, you have rain, you have snow, you'll have wind, you'll have all these different elements that come up that change randomly throughout the game. And I don't think we have that in a lot of these sports games. I mean, I don't know if PES is doing it. Maybe PES Soccer might be doing it, but there are a lot of games out there that still need to get improvements on the weather front. But going back to the Zelda, number one, I can't believe you're almost done with the game. So you've been putting in that work, man. You've been putting in that work.
Yeah. Girlfriend's been getting pissed.
Oh, I bet. But you know what? Hey, it's better than being out at the bar. So
hey,
you know, it's always a good
excuse. I do that too, but we'll get into that later.
Well, you know, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I don't know what happened to Gideon. I know that.
I saw you might have to send him the link through email again. But at this point, I mean, it's a little late. And hey, maybe we could get him on the next show and somebody else, possibly.
I'm down for that. He's calling me now on Google Hangouts, but that's the wrong Google Hangouts. So I don't know what's going on. So we're having some difficulty with him. But due to the fact that we're running late in the show, we started late again, guys, because my fault this time. I set up the cast, you know, with the wrong. I set it up as private versus public or whatever. Oh man, he's been blowing up my phone here. I'll just send him one more time just to see. Maybe we can get him on here real quick before we jump off. But let me just see real quick. So there you go. I just sent you again, Gideon. So if you can see this, you know, try to jump on. But yeah. And everybody in the chat, by the way, they're all saying Zelda. Really? We're talking about Zelda? Yeah, we're talking about Zelda because Zelda is an example. And by the way, don't get it twisted. Splatoon 2, I know it sounds stupid. That game is off the chain, man. That game is
fun.
That game is fun. It's a multiplayer first-person shooter type of game, and I'll take that game any single day over any of the stupid Call of Duty shit that I keep playing and the crap that I keep. That game has creativity. It has beautiful, beautiful graphics, the color, and what I like, which we don't have a lot of anymore, are the unlockables. I want to wear a new shirt, a new hat, new gear, and get a new gun. And the way that they put that game together it reminds me of the older hot shots kind of games where the golf game where you can sit there and you can crank, away, and you can start to unlock, your different, gear and weapons, and you begin to feel like you're working for a prize, and you're actually progressing, you get a higher score. So it's more compact. It's not as wild as some of these 3D games, which you have 50 different modes and you don't know which one to go do. Like, go kill zombies in this room, go play 2 of your friends in that room, go play, one-on-one, 50 different modes. Now this game is, you walk in and you have a few modes. You got a story mode, and you have the multiplayer with different types of ranked and unranked matches. And just the way that game plays, there's strategy in that game, man. And the way you go under the ink and you hide and you come out and you have your special weapons. Dude, I love that game. And
listen,
when you see it, you're like, this game's for kids. But dude, don't get it twisted. That game is off the chain.
That's what Nintendo does better than any other company, is they actually understand real skill gap. The motto that they use a lot in those games is easy to pick up, hard to master. Same thing with Smash Bros. Smash Bros is exactly like that. Easy to pick up, but very, very hard to master. So you're right. Splatoon, that's another game. It's so fun. I played the first one. I ain't played the second one yet. But that game was so fun. All the things that you mentioned about the gear that has its own stats to it, and the different guns, all that you could earn throughout the game. And guess what? It's free. It's all free. You ain't got to pay for shit. It's so much depth to that game that's free. You don't have to pay no microtransactions or anything like that. The game is there for you. They were given...
The game's built for you to earn. You earn what you get. You don't have to sit there and go ask mama for some points, or have some Joe Schmo who spends $15,000 and all of a sudden he's way ahead of you. And it's like, why am I even going to bother, crunching my time and grinding to get to somewhere that somebody just bought? That takes away the whole element of oh, there's Gideon.
There he is. What up, Gideon?
What up, Gideon? You made it.
Fellas, pleasure. What's going on, man? I loved your show, man. It was a good conversation. I know I got on the tail end, but love the convo.
Appreciate it.
Continue.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your ball tangibility or your NBA 2K? What do you want to talk about tonight?
Man, I mean, well, you guys are talking about Zelda and Nintendo, and I mean, I haven't played Nintendo for years, but Nintendo always had the depth of gameplay and levels, and how you level up and all of that stuff, man. I mean, back in the day, Nintendo games just smash these games right now, man. As far as this depth and quality and how well it's made, how well it's put together, how well it's thought out, how well the levels are, and how everything is measured out, the power of the weaponry, the power of the enemy, the big bosses, everything was just measured out. Lovely, Oh, those are the days, man. I mean, come on. I mean, something simple as Metroid with the rinky-dink graphics, man. That game was deep.
And those were the days too where, I'll tell you what, man, my son, I think kids nowadays are different than when we grew up. We used to get one game. You get one game, not 50 games. You get one game, and you sit there and you grind on that game. Well, the cows come home, and you start off you have one level of difficulty a lot of times, and you have to beat that game. And you used to be able to walk into school and be like, "Hey, man, guess what? I just beat Super Mario. What do you got?" And that was it. It wasn't you saying, "Oh, well, what difficulty? What slider were you on? Are you on Superstar? Are you on All-Star? Were you playing with a cheating, gamepad?" No, we didn't have any of that. We had straight up, you get the game, you enjoy the game, you appreciate the game, you appreciate what you have, and you actually work through that game. But Nintendo, they gave you a quality product, which is what we're talking about here. They didn't waste our time.
Also, what level you was at, that was the level you was at. So there was no scales like what they do right now. So it's like everything is just so subjective and so left up to interpretation on how good you are. Oh, you was playing on all, like you said. I'm just repeating what you said. You played on All-Star, so you're garbage. Nah, man. It's like the game is the game, man. And I just wish somebody like 2K would adopt that, at least in a certain mode for online play. At least that. You know what I'm trying to say? Because like I said before, as far as the ball tangibility, I'm the ball tangibility guy. At least online, man. Online. I understand that that 2K cannot do ball tangibility offline versus the AI, because the AI is just too much parameters, and it's just too much for the AI to actually really keep the ball away from human users, especially off of quick things like rebounds and everything, because they have to program more protocols for ball protection. But with users, it should be all day, every day, man. Get good or get left. That's it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I mean, we thought you just dropped the mic on us, man. You just left it the way it needs to be said, which is get on the bus or get off the bus. Stop playing with us. Stop giving us these half-assed titles and wanting to just take advantage of all these people. Give us a quality product. You want to put 1 or 2 or 3 different skill levels? Fine. You want to put some sliders? Fine. But I mean, give us a game that's quality, that's been tested, that doesn't need to be patched 16 different times.
Or give us a mode. Like,
give us, right.
I mean, everybody wants to talk trash. Why talk trash? And there's handicaps everywhere. I don't know how people let this happen. It baffles me. These guys are sitting there. Oh yeah, you don't know this. You didn't put it on. Oh man, let me tell you, you guys are garbage and trash. You sit there. I said it before last week, man. My thing is simple, man. Online, at least 2K, give us that. Give us a mode where you wanna talk that trash. You wanna see what you really worth. Get in that mode. The ball's live. Let's see where your game really is at. That's when the stats will mean something. That's when pick and roll will mean something. Everything will mean something. Double teams will mean something. One mode. You can't do it AI yet. Understandable. Give us a mode. It doesn't even have to be Park. Give us Pro-Am. Give us a really good Pro-Am. And then start from there. And then that'll get people warmed up for it for years to come. And then they can just let the whole thing drop. But that'll be up for them to do, because people are not going to be willing to take it that seriously. Or give us one Pro-Am. Like, they got 2 Pro-Am. They got walk-on Pro-Am. And then they got the team Pro-Am in 2K. Well, good gosh. I mean, they got the stuff ready and waiting. They'll just push the button, man.
I'll tell you what, man. When my kid, I bought an older Nintendo and I put him on an NES, right? The old school NES. And I had him playing it. And all he can do the whole time was like, Daddy. I had him playing like Kid Icarus. And that game was hard. Kid Icarus was no joke. And I had him playing it. And every 2 seconds, he was like, Daddy, I can't do this. Can you pass it for me? So these kids are growing up with this mentality that they're playing a game like they're watching a movie. It's all just open doors, keep going, keep walking through, and there's no sense of like, damn, I got to earn it. I got to earn this. I got to actually grind and get frustrated, and do it over and over and over. And by the way, remember back in the day, we didn't have checkpoints. You died. Guess where you're starting from? The beginning. The beginning.
Hey, look, man, that right there should be a video alone. That point you just made right there, that point is like, it's like a bomb, what you just said right there. It's like they want to watch a movie and the game just wants to walk you along because, I guess they want to keep people coming back, and it's about the experience. It's not about how good you are, not about what you learn. It's not about the tricks that you pick up. It's not about learning and adapting and getting good, getting great. It's about just a walkthrough. They don't care, the money's coming in, so they don't care how. Hey, just walk them through it. Anybody can do it. No skill gap. That's a popular phrase, skill gap.
They're making these kids soft, is what it is. Back in the day when I used to be able to, even sports. Sports are trying to protect these kids, and I get it, but these kids are getting like a golden platter, and it's like, like when I was young, my wife and I always go back and forth, but it's like whatever we ask my kid, part of it's my problem. We ask him, what do you want for dinner? When I was young, you put dinner on the table, and guess what? You eat dinner, and if you don't eat that dinner, well, something might happen, but guess what you're eating for the rest of the week? That same exact dinner. Okay. And that's the way it used to be. Call it hardcore, you know, hard love, tough love, or whatever you call it. But you know, you grew up with some sense of pride and appreciation for food, you know. And these kids nowadays, a lot of these kids, and you know, I guess as parents, we fall into the trap. I mean, I do, and I blame myself, but it's like we want to give these kids an easy life. We want to give these kids a pass, and they don't know what it means to earn something, at least in my house.
Don't make me wax poetic, man. Don't you're proud of me right now. Hey, look, man, that is just a microcosm of what's going on in society right now, man. And I'm a curse, pardon the curse. The men are bitch ass. The men, they have turned the men to bitch ass. It's bitch ass activity, man. Estrogen. They are putting the stuff in the food. They are putting the stuff in entertainment. They are bitching out men. And I hate this with a passion. The women rule over the men. This stuff is in the Bible, man. You know what I'm saying? God says this. This says, talking about Israel in the Old Testament. In this you do error. The women rule over you, and the children are your oppressors. This is what it says. And it's happening right now, man. These women, all they got to do is show their freaking the shape of their butt, and dudes is gone. Like their willpower, their strength, everything is gone. They straight Samson, these dudes, man. But instead of cutting their hair off, they're cutting off their freaking testicles, man. You know, and it's a shame, yo. And what you said, that's the thing that reminds me of that. I mean, look, I could go all day talking about that. That's all I do at my job. I'm just sitting there, and some people listen, some people don't, man. But it's what's going on in the streets right now. Everywhere you look, everywhere you go, it's like the Matrix, man. The Matrix is everywhere.
You know what it is, man? It makes you want to move to, you know, like Europe or something. I mean, I don't know how much better it is there, but I
want to go to.
I was born in Spain, and I haven't been back to Spain since I was basically like a year old. And I was talking to some lady today about it. And I know this is a little side story, but she was talking about retiring out there because it's just quality of life. It's cheaper to drink wine there than it is to get a bottle of soda. You know, they enjoy their time. They have, and I'm not telling everybody to drink, but the point is that you enjoy your quality of life, you know, and you don't see mass murderers happening there and mass murderings or whatever. And you're not stuck in this concrete jungle that we live in where everybody's trying to one up everybody else. And it's like, you know, if you can get to a point where wherever it is in your life, if you can get to a point where you're actually able to appreciate things and be grateful for what you have. They say one of the top qualities to have for the most successful people in the world is when you wake up in the morning, you be grateful for everything that you have. That's the first step, you know, and with that, you can continue to do other things, but you got to be appreciative for what you have. And these kids in this society, they're used to getting the burger, you know, drive-through. They're used to getting DLC loaded right into their computer, their game. They don't even have to go to the store anymore to pick out what they want. They don't have to go to KB Toys or Babbage's or wherever. You know, they just get it, push a button, I got it. You know, and it's really taken away. I sound like an old dude here, but I mean, hey, you know, those days were important. You know, I mean, when you used to go to the mall with your family, and the mall was a day trip. Maybe you walked away with a toy, but you learned to walk with your parents, talk to your parents, go look at different stores, go eat at the food court. I mean, that was like a mini Disney World trip. And we'd walk away with, damn, I got a game. I'm going to go play that game, no matter how good or how bad it is. And I remember when I used to get shit games, and I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to still play this game, and I'm going to try to tell my friends it's a good game. And I would always justify how good it was, and the game was trash. But you know what? I played it. Maybe Madden needs to go back to that mantra, because their game is pure trash.
Hey, booty. I made a video talking about the difference, and one of my other channels, I think it's still up. It's called Pride versus Dignity, and that is the difference between those two words is amazing. And it was pretty much talking about it like what pride is. Pride is a campaign where you know you don't have the goods on the inside of you, but you want to let everybody else know you got the goods. Dignity is you know you got the goods on the inside, so it doesn't matter what the heck anybody else says. And so dignity is where freedom is. pride is bondage. So it's like, oh man, I gotta let these dudes know how I get down because I know I'm nothing. And this is what everybody's going through right now. And it ties into everything that you were saying, you know what I'm saying? And yo, this is what I really love to talk about, man. We can mix in the games with this type of talk, and I'll be here every week. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well,
The
we could
games
do
is
that.
cool.
We could do that. I mean, you know, you have an open invitation. You have a seat, you know, on this panel whenever you want to join. But we're getting late. We don't mean to cut everybody off short. I mean, I know you got on late, Gideon, so I
No doubt.
apologize for cutting you off. But I mean, people got things they have to do, and we got to cut this short. So thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. And like I said, if you want to come on in the future, you know, by all means, we have to figure out the whole, you know, way to get you on quicker. But yeah, we'll do that next time for sure. But thanks for joining us. And we're going to wrap this show up now. Any last words from the panel here before we go?
Well, thank you for tuning in. Again, we're going to try to make it at 8 o'clock every Tuesday. And we're going to try to keep it going as long as possible. So thank you for tuning in, and shout outs to everybody in the chat room, and see you next Tuesday.
Cool.
Hey, man. Hey, get in your Bibles, watch the news, compare the two, and draw conclusions, man, based off the Bible and the news, man. And then now you're thinking. Anything else? Nobody cares about what you like or what you don't like, and this and that, man. Bump all that, man. What conclusions are you drawing based off the evidence and exhibits that are before your eyes every day, man? And I leave people with that challenge.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, both of you guys. I really appreciate it. Gedden, thanks for putting this together with me. I'm really excited about this opportunity, and I want anybody out there who wants to join the show. Like Gedden said, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. We're trying to keep it to an hour, hour and a half. That's been like the range. If we can start on time, maybe we can, you know, make it like an hour, hour and a half type of show. But we welcome anybody out there that wants to come on. You know that time runs fast, and we have to keep things somewhat organized. But I got
some suggestions. Hey, you get Jeros, you get the B5, Jeros, Retro Resolve, Gonzo. You get Gonzo on here, boy. You get real live.
Yeah, we can do that.
You know Gonzo is, right? I mean, send those guys some invites, man, and I'll do the same and see if these guys are biting, man. That'll be great stuff.
Yeah, that works. That works. And thanks to everybody in the chat. You know, we see you in the chat. Thanks for joining. We had a pretty good showing tonight. So, you know, and if you guys want different topics, I know some people complained about Zelda. We're going to talk about anything and everything gaming in this channel on this, you know, show. And but we're sim gamers, we're sim sports gamers, but we also enjoy a quality product. And that's what sim really turns into: quality games, quality simulation. And that's what we're about. So until next time, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Peace out, and we'll see you. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.